You know, there are a couple of insightful quotes that very well describe the impact of clutter in our lives. One describes that clutter is chaos. It's a suffocating presence that robs us of our peace and joy. And the other describes how, when we clear the physical clutter from our lives, we literally make way for inspiration and for good, orderly direction to enter. What feelings does this picture of the current state of my kitchen invoke for you? A lot of the time, clutter brings so many negative feelings into our homes, and we may not even be conscious of them. But my kitchen at the moment makes me feel anxious, guilty, lazy, chaotic, out of control, and almost a bit panicked. If a picture paints 1,000 words, then this one speaks of a full-time working mum with 3 busy teenagers who parents alone and feels exhausted by life, the life admin. Someone who is perimenopausal, if you know, you know. Someone who doesn't have a hired cleaner, who just generally feels overwhelmed with all that there is to do and achieve in this thing called life. So while I tidy and declutter my kitchen, let's talk some more about clutter and its insidious infiltration into our lives, but more importantly, its infiltration into our minds. I name it as insidious, as it is like water. It slowly filters into our homes, finding every nook and cranny to flow into, encompassing and moving through all our treasured spaces and eventually engulfing what is actually meant to be a haven for us. Another quote describes how external clutter is internal clutter on display. It's quite a powerful quote. So clutter truly is more about mental health than it is about aesthetics. We quite often think it's about having a beautiful, tidy, clean, organised home. And of course there is an element of this, but it's actually about having a beautiful, tidy, organised state of mind and mental health. You only have to watch an episode of Hoarders to see and understand that clutter is a matter of mental health and not about having a tidy and pretty house. The science and research is out there, and it is very clear on the impact of clutter on our mental health. There is a direct link between clutter in our homes and having a high cortisol level, which is one of the stress hormones. Clutter causes stress and anxiety. It makes us feel overwhelmed, even subconsciously, without you even being aware of it sometimes. You can be living in a state of clutter and chaos in your own home, but because it has become your normal, then you may not even be aware of the turmoil that it's causing in your mind. As human beings, our brains crave order. We thrive on it actually, because our brains tell us that it is keeping us safe and protected. Just think of how you feel when you walk into a space or someone's home and there is no clutter around. Everything has a place in which it lives or gets put back to. Services are clear and tidy. Those spaces feel like a calm haven to spend time in, don't they? Decluttering helps your brain to immediately feel in control, relaxed, and at peace. It feels safe. The links between depression and clutter are also well proven. I think we probably all could identify with someone in our lives, or maybe even ourselves, who has experienced depression at some level. It is debilitating and paralytic for many. So if you can imagine being in that state, your brain is in chaos already, and clutter just feeds into this negative cycle of chaos. It multiplies the feeling of overwhelm. It's not restorative in any way, and it actually makes us sicker. Decluttering helps us to untangle the wires, if you like. It's to bring order and restoration to our brain. helps us to feel like we can breathe and decompress. When we are not surrounded by clutter, we can actually give ourselves space to do the important work of healing the complexities of our minds. We all have them. Clutter can cause, or in the least contribute to, low self-esteem. Or you could actually switch it around and say that low self-esteem contributes to clutter. It is all interlinked. If you think of clutter as being nothing more than postponed decisions, as another saying goes, then you can appreciate how this can bring about feelings of hopelessness, lack of control, feeling like you never get anything right. But decluttering helps us to feel empowered, that we can accomplish goals and feel proud of our homes, and this in turn will lift our self-esteem. Clutter can cause relational harmony or difficulty inside of our homes. I know it does in my own home. My kids will always comment if I have managed to declutter, tidy and organise a certain area of our home. It instantly makes them feel calm and happy. Clutter makes it impossible to find things that you need to use. A perfect example of this in my own home is the brand new unopened pair of hair cutting scissors that we cannot find anywhere for months now. Clutter causes upset and resentment of the constant messy state, and this is always going to have an impact in our relationships. Firstly, it puts you in this never improving cycle of feeling embarrassed to have guests over, but it in turn impacts hugely on meaningful relationships with your family and friends. Relationships with friends get neglected because you feel you have too much tidying, cleaning, sorting you need to get on with at home, and you also don't want to invite them over because of the shame of the mess. And meaningful relationships with your kids and your spouse suffer because the chaos in your home is screaming out, "I need to be dealt with." Resentment builds up, tension builds up, the overwhelm builds up, and it infiltrates the whole family. Decluttering starts to build a safe home environment for our families and ourselves. It is actually an important part of our self-care. We physically feel safe in an uncluttered environment, and our brains feel safe as well. And the final thing that clutter affects is personal growth. How do you have the mental space or capacity for creation and growth when it is being occupied by clutter? And by this I mean the physical clutter in our homes. It's fueling mental clutter of stress, anxiety, depression, guilt, low self-esteem, poor relationships, all of the things that we have been talking about here. It kills any room for inspiration, creativity and growth. You know, you and your families are worthy of having a physical and mental environment that encourages and promotes safety, control, focus, motivation, inspiration, creativity, happiness, meaningful relationships, restfulness, calmness and peace. I want that for my family for sure. And if it's a work in progress for you, then please be encouraged, because it is for me as well. It's about small, consistent habits over time. It can feel like a constant moving target, but it is achievable. And if you need help, then there is no shame in asking for help. There are lots of great people out there who are wanting to help. We are not meant to be doing this alone, so reach out if you need to. We have all had times over our lives, or will have times, where we need to put a hand up and say, "I need some help." I hope this video encourages or inspires or helps even one person. And until the next time, have a great week, everyone.